Before we get into this episode, I just want to issue a disclaimer that throughout this whole entire episode, I will be talking about eating disorders. This episode is solely focused on eating disorders. So if this is triggering to you, please click off, and I'm sure I'll see you in another episode. Now, the main reason I really wanted to do this is because I'm recording this on June 2nd, by the way. So 3 years ago yesterday was when I officially got diagnosed with my eating disorder. And I think it's such an important topic to talk about. And I know there's people out there who could probably relate to me. So I thought, why not? This is a time and I feel like I'm ready to talk about it. For a little background information, I tried to do this episode last year and I just couldn't. I felt like I wasn't ready yet. This time I feel ready to talk about it. So as I mentioned, June 1st, 2022 is when I got diagnosed with my eating disorder. I've had some not so much traumatic things happen to me. There's just been things that happened growing up that led me to kind of have this sort of to get diagnosed with this eating disorder. So one of the main things that happened is high school. I used to get £5 a week for lunch money. I would spend all my money on stuff for lunch. I would get myself a chocolate bar, I would get myself juice, and yeah, I probably did spend half of the £5 on chocolate and stuff. But I specifically remember this one day going into school. Every morning I would show everybody what I got for my lunch and stuff, and so I would pull out my bag, and then this guy goes, Devyn, you buy so much stuff but you never gain any weight, how's that? And then my drama teacher, or my regi teacher at the time, was going, oh well, Devyn's fat on the outside, no, skinny on the outside, fat on the inside, so therefore something just kind of felt I don't know, it was that's really strange in the fact that somebody's saying that about me. And then there was this with my grandparents, funnily enough, because I ate so much, I was going to grow up and I was going to be fat. But with that, growing up, I was also told that I was the perfect weight. So I was always kind of drilled into my head that the weight that I am at, I am perfectly fine. Growing up, I was the skinniest out of my family. No offense to any of my family. I was just the twig. I was the tiny little one. And it's always been something that I have had to grow up with, that I am a little bit different because I'm I'm skinnier than my family. And it's not a problem that I had until it did become a problem. Lunch, I wouldn't be allowed to get at school. I wouldn't be able to get my own lunch. And then with the whole Devyn's skinny on the outside, fat on the inside, it kind of just flipped a switch in my brain. And this is when I realised that I wasn't so much friendly with food anymore. I didn't have a healthy relationship with food. At some points I would be fine, I would eat, and then some points I wouldn't. 2022 is when it got really bad. An example is my mum would come and ask me, I wanted dinner, and I'll be like, no, look, I'm not really hungry at the moment. And then it got to the point that whenever I got food, I would hide it somewhere in my room. I had a snack bag, and if I had dinner, I would try and find a place to find it so I could just avoid eating it. One of my biggest fears is actually gaining weight. It's something that I really struggle with because I've been told my whole life I'm at that perfect weight. I don't want to change anything about that. I kind of like the weight that I'm at. I want to mention as well that when COVID happened, I also did lose my appetite tons, but it kind of picked up again. So anyways, back to 2022. I had this really hard time of eating and stuff. My mum was worried because she would come in and she'd be like, oh, do you want this for dinner? I'm like, no, I don't really want anything. And she would try and offer me other ideas, but I just simply refused. There's one day that my mum phones up the doctors and be like, hey, I think my daughter's got an eating disorder. They're hiding food in their room. And so I get an appointment for 10:30, and I go down and we talk about it, and I'm like, look, I just don't like the idea of gaining weight, and just eating is a big struggle for me. One of the things that I do struggle with is portion sizes and stuff, and if it's messy, I can't eat it. It just puts me off. Messy foods, steak pie or curry, I can't eat that because there's just something in my brain that's telling me that it's really bad for my body, and that if I eat too much of it, I'm going to gain weight. Chocolate bars, I think eating them in one sitting, it really triggers me as well. So food is one of them, and one of my other biggest fears is public eating. I can't eat in public. I feel like people will judge me for how I'm eating. What am I eating? Am I eating too much? Am I eating too little? There's always just this fear in the back of my mind that somebody is watching what I'm doing and I'm getting judged, but it's always when it comes to food. I get diagnosed with an eating disorder, but I didn't push further forward to get diagnosed, like pinpoint on straight what it was. I just liked the idea of knowing that I had a general eating disorder. This kind of changed my whole perspective of things, because this was like one of my, like, this was the first mental illness that I got diagnosed with. Obviously now we know that's not, I have more than one, but you know, we firm it like a champ. So yeah, I get diagnosed with the eating disorder, and it just felt really weird. Like again, I mentioned in Mindset episode 8, getting a diagnosis for something makes it feel real. I struggle with food still to this day, and I'm 3 years deep into recovery, which we will talk about, one of my favourite journeys ever. And so that year I was meant to travel down to England, or I travelled down to England to spend time with my friends, and so I did. Eating wise is probably something that I struggled with quite a bit, but I had such a good support system around me that helped me and pushed me to do things. So one of the things that I like to do if I'm struggling eating is I'll portion out my plate. So they're all even sizes. So 1, it doesn't look as big as it is. 2, I know it's an amount that I could probably eat without feeling guilty. And 3, I don't know what the third one is, but like those 2 are really important. So I go down to England and I speak to my friend's mum, and she's like, okay, look, we can do this for you as long as it's going to help you eat something. And then so we pass that, and January time I go back down to my friend's house. We go to Pizza Hut. Now pizzas are something that I still find quite intimidating. Pizza is one of my comfort foods, so I have no harm in stopping everything to eat a pizza. All I ate was a bowl of chips, a bucket of chips, and it's quite hard to figure out that I need to eat 3 meals a day to keep myself going. Like, it's something that I still struggle with, and it's something that I still find really hard to process, at the fact that I need to eat 3 meals a day, and I genuinely don't. Like, hand on heart, I don't eat 3 meals a day. I will eat when I feel like it. I want to go back to talking about how bad my eating got back when I got my diagnosis of my eating disorder. All I would do was eat crisp. And you're probably thinking, Devyn, why is that? Well, you see, I would only eat crisp because I believed that it wouldn't make me gain weight. And I also had this fear of like being full of, like, after I've ate, of being full. I just didn't like that feeling. I didn't want to be full. I didn't want to give myself that success of eating. Like, you know, it was something that I just kept drilled into my brain, that I can't eat properly. And it's something that grew with me, like, that I'm not allowed to eat till I'm full. Just to clarify, this is still something that I do struggle with. There will be times that it gets really bad, and it gets really worse. It gets better, like, but there's no in between. It's still something that I do struggle with daily, and I'm still working on it. I'm trying to figure out what works for me and stuff. 2023, kind of nothing really happens. I just do the same things, and it's all about just pushing myself to try and eat stuff. And obviously there's little milestones that come with it, like eating a fear food, which I'm pretty sure in college that year I promised myself to try and bring something new in every week that I was scared of. Or it was 2024, it's one of those. But I promised myself that I'd bring something in every week to challenge myself to eat fear foods to bring myself back. It's so scary looking at a food and trying to eat it when it's so intimidating. It's such a struggle. Like, I used to love so much, like, different things, like, let me tell you, a Big Mac from McDonald's. Or just burgers in general. I can't eat burgers because they're so scary, like, they're so intimidating and messy and have so much fat in it. The one thing I'm really grateful for that I didn't get into is calorie counting. I think that would have made things a lot worse. Yeah, 2023, we challenged the fear foods. But obviously at some point, I fail. Not fail, I just have to push myself back to the restart. 2024, a big year for eating disorders and getting diagnosis with depression. What I realised is with having depression, my eating is affected as well. Now, having an eating disorder and having depression, they two do not go in hand well. So my eating falls off dramatically. You know, it's obviously like really hard because you feel like you could get so far with progress and then you're all of a sudden back at the start. This is something that I think having such a beautiful support system around you is a great reason to, you know, just having a great support system, which I'm really grateful for everybody that's in my support system and has helped me with both my depression and eating disorder. But anyways, so I go on holiday in October. I don't eat anything. I struggle to eat so much that everybody's quite concerned for me. So I think I had like a chocolate waffle. This is really important, by the way. Listen to this because this is really important. I had this waffle, had ice cream on it, and it was just really scary. It was just really intimidating. The ice cream, the chocolate sauce, the chocolate waffle, it was all just way too much. And I wanted to challenge myself because that's something that I found is helpful, challenging myself. It didn't work, you know. I actually ended up freaking out and having to get up and leave because the food was freaking me out that much that I think I was sort of I triggered myself, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, the waffle was just not it, and that's when I realised my eating got really bad. So obviously, as I mentioned, I go back to the mental health doctor. I mentioned this in episode 8. I go back to the mental health doctor, and what we realise is that my eating hasn't been great for the last 3 years. I don't eat normally, and I don't eat a normal amount. There's massive time gaps of when I eat. And so we're trying to work on this, and we're trying to work on this, and we're trying to work on this, and it just isn't helping. And so I feel really defeated about this. I was meant to go to eating disorder therapy, but I simply refused because the thought of going to therapy was quite scary. And 2024 with depression, it was kind of hard to like maintain like a good balance of like eating. Like I just sometimes I just don't want to eat because I'm genuinely scared that I'm going to gain weight, or sometimes it's as simple as I forget. So we move forward to February this year, and this is when I go to the psychiatry, and we point out the massive gaps in me eating. So I was starting to take notes on how much I eat and what's the timestamp between them. Quite concerning. Like, as I thought in my mind, I thought it was getting better and I thought it was doing better, but realistically I was just not doing better at all. And so it was something that I was quite shocked with, at the fact that I'm just not better. Obviously there is going to be an endpoint where I do get better, and I'm excited to reach that deadline. One of the most important things for me right now is sitting here recording this episode, because this time last year I couldn't do it. So I'm really proud of myself for this, sitting down in front of a camera, recording the mindset episode and continuing on, and actually getting this episode recorded. So this is a big step. We were figuring out why I have such massive time gaps. The reason I have such massive time gaps is that I don't believe that I'm allowed to eat until I have a physical sign. So you think your belly rumbling is a physical sign, you should probably go get something to eat. No, I don't take, my brain's like, your belly's rumbling, get over it. Kind of like that. It's a lot worse, but it's like, your belly's rumbling, you're not allowed to eat. The only time that I physically feel like I can start eating is when it gets to the point that I'm physically shaking and I feel like I'm going to pass out. That's when my brain's like, okay, well, you can eat something little. It's so horrible. And it definitely takes a lot to recover from. I mean, I'm still 3 years into recovery and I'm doing it all by myself. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. Recovery has been so helpful for me to try and help myself get back to where I am, and try and take away the fear of not eating, and try also getting rid of the fear of it's okay to gain weight even if I don't want to. I'm really lucky that I have a fast metabolism, but it's still obviously something that I panic about quite a lot. Like, for a good example, if leggings that don't fit me start to fit me without a hairband tied to them, I am freaking out. My brain goes into overdrive and it's like, starve yourself. And so like, I just don't eat anything proper. I kind of always make sure to not have something that can fill me up. We're now in June. We're on the 2nd of June 2025. Here are some things that I've managed to accomplish with my eating disorder. I've been managing to eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. And it's as simple as locking in and finding comfort foods. And I really find this super helpful, like hyperfixating on foods. I've hyperfixated on bacon and egg bagels for a long time. And I would have that for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I'd ham and cheese toasties, breakfast, lunch and dinner, noodles, pasta. All these foods have been so, such helpful foods to have around me to help me progress and eat 3 meals a day. It's crazy. Remember that chocolate waffle I mentioned earlier? Yeah, I went on holiday earlier this year, and so we go out to I went to a caravan holiday, by the way. It was lovely. We go to the caravan park and we go out for a nice meal, or lunch I think it was, and so we get lunch and I had this sandwich. It was massive. It was huge. And I ate, I think, half a slice. But it was huge, right? Okay, it was huge. And then we get the chocolate waffle, ice cream, chocolate sauce. What am I missing? Ice cream, chocolate sauce, and the waffle. That's what I'm missing. I ate it all. And for once in my life, I did not feel guilty about it at all. I was so happy. I felt this sense of achievement, like, wow, I'd done it. Like, I ate a full chocolate waffle. And it was just like one of the biggest achievements of my life, from having such a massive fear of, one, I knocked off two fears. One, eating a chocolate waffle with ice cream, which is really intimidating to me, like 4 months prior. I don't think that's right, but we'll go with that. 4 months prior. And then public eating. I was in a restaurant full of people and I managed to tackle it off. Like, it's such a great sense of achievement, because sometimes recovery feels so long and it feels like you make no progress. But let me tell you, progress can be made even when you don't feel like it. Like a few weeks ago, I went out to lunch with my big sister and we went to a public restaurant and I had a massive plate of salad. I'll post a picture here, up here. And I ate it all. Like, it's all those little things that make recovery feel so worth it. So before I end off this episode, thank you for listening to me talk about eating disorders and my eating disorder and my journey with it. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I got diagnosed with it, and it's been such not gonna lie, it's been such a long and hard journey, but I finally feel like the recovery is worth it. As before I want to end this off, please make sure to give love to your body. Please make sure to eat it. It's such an important thing to do, and it's a part of your daily routine, and it really does help your body grow. Wherever you are, however dark the journey seems, come back. Someone's left the light on. I've been Devyn McQuaid. You've been listening to Mindset. Come along to the next episode and we can talk about your mindset. Sometimes recovery feels so long and it feels like you make no progress. But let me tell you, progress can be made even when you don't feel like it. It always makes me feel like, look at how far you've come.